Thank you, all of you, for being here, and thank you to my gracious hosts. Who am I? Anyway, I'm Erik Rothenberg. I have a quite varied, some would say checkered background. I was a serial entrepreneur for about 20 years. All of these were businesses I started from scratch with little or no capital. I was in international trade for 20 years. I was I founded an internet service provider in 1993, so we watched that whole thing go up when we sold it in 2000, just before the crash. I was in the industrial hemp business. I used to trade hemp seed oil. It went into Dr. Brothers and Revlon soaps and Rachel Perry products. My most recent endeavor was running a renewable energy company, where I built solar and I traded what kind of the flip side of carbon credits, voluntary renewable energy certificates. We pioneered that market. That taught me something about the cost of capital. And I extrapolated that, and I said, well, wait a minute. I'm going to be in this business, and it's all about the lowest cost of capital. Hold on just a second. Who's got the lowest cost of capital? Well, Goldman Sachs has really got the lowest cost of capital because Hank Paulson is running the Treasury. Well, no, in fact, it's the Federal Reserve that's got the lowest cost of capital because they just create money out of... Now, hold on just a second. It's those private banks that just print money out of nothing that own the Federal Reserve that got the lowest cost of capital. Later, I would find out that 91% of the transactions on this entire planet are run through N.M. Rothschilds and Sons in London. But that's another story. So what have we got? You know, that whole concept is pretty revolutionary because you're talking about really creating a brand new value standard based on, say, the global ecology, political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental, and everything that that implies, and everything that that touches. And we look at our old value standard, and what we have is a value standard that's tied to competition, domination, extraction, consumption, and waste. Money value really ultimately ought to be expressed in terms of human value. And because, you know, even if you're buying a Ferrari to impress the girls, you still get that momentary rush of adrenaline, you know, when you get on the road or when, you know, you get all the attention. So as fleeting as it may be, it's still expressed in human values. Human values ultimately reflect life. And as we all know, life is about relationships. All life is made up of relationships. I don't exist in relation just to myself. My cells exist in relation to each other, and the tissues and the organs, and me, the organism, in relation to all of you, and us in relation to all of this room. And all of the perspectives, what I experience internally and externally. What we experience internally in this communication and externally. This room is one venue. We could be experiencing this in another room. There's all these different perspectives that we have to look at how we look at the world, how we look at measurement and value. So life, and how we look at life. So life is a relationship of the parts of a whole. And a whole is usually always, at least all the way up to the biosphere and beyond, always a whole within greater wholes. So we live in the exabyte age. We live in an era of networked collective intelligence. And the potential exists for all of us to create a global neural network that is purposed on the highest quality of life. And an economic system supporting and being supported by that global neural network. It's also able to solve a lot of other problems. But to the degree that the economy is kind of our most important thing, because today money equals life. If you don't have any money, you don't have a place to live. You don't have any justice. You don't have a politician. There's very few places that you can live without money. And by the way, we are the only species that has to pay to live on this planet. What? Oh, hey, how you like that? Enter URSULA. So URSULA stands for Unified Rating System Universal Life Assessment. And it's a way of scoring, rating, measuring, valuing, identifying, unlocking, liberating, and creating. All value. And anything that we know, everything that we know about anything, we can take and put on the same scale. No, but if you don't draw a boundary, then you end up having to measure the whole world relative to the whole rest of the world. And that's impossible. Well, it turns out that that's not true. It could be a currency, it could be an idea, it could be a technology, it could be any life form. When we ask how two systems can communicate and exchange with one another, they share a larger system integrity. Again, holons within the holarchy can communicate with each other. Now, that exchange is based on how well they serve that larger system integrity. And now what we have is the basis of multiple value standards per a given context, which means that we have a basis for communities trading between one another. Now, we already have these concepts in the existing economy. We have the basis of foreign exchange relative to GNP or interest rates. Let's say the apple and pear orchards both share the need for the same soil, clean water, and clean air. So it's always different systems within the context of a larger system. So now we have a reasonable basis for differential value, system integrity, and value exchange in the system. Now I would dare say that those are key pieces for all of the things that we need to start building our economy. We have a subject and an agenda. That forms the basis of relational measurement. Basis of relational measurement. Anything that we want to value relative to any aspect of quality of life. All aspects of quality of life, taking into account quality and quantity of life, space and time of life, impact and potential of life, values equaling value in life, all of these aspects. The basis of exchange that operates on relative differentials of what Buckminster Fuller called synergetic advantage. How much more stuff can we do with this design than that design in how much less time? The banks make markets now. The bank says, well, we're going to make the market. We've got all the money. Why doesn't the community make the market? Why don't we take control of that? We all have all the value at our fingertips anyway. We can start to optimize best practices and what Buckminster Fuller called synergetic accounting to get more with less. We can start to eliminate liabilities. When we start to eliminate liabilities, all we're left with is assets and equity. The truth of the matter is that this is not so much something that needs to be put into effect, but it's something that needs to be realized. That we already have a lot of this built. A lot of the value is already resting in ourselves, and things that we're doing today, and things that we could be doing better if we knew what to do. So, do we have the right message? Do we have the right messengers? Those are the mavens, connectors, and salespeople. And do we have the right context? Space and time. I think it's the right time. We have to start with the right space. Led Zeppelin looked for audiences in 1968 that thought they would respond to that music. They weren't playing the pop circuit. They would have fallen flat on their face. So we want to look for people who are going to say, oh, hey, yeah, this is a great idea. And, you know, there's a lot of talent in this room that knows where to insert a lot of that. So we start to get, you know, that adoption path there. We only need 10% of the world to make this tip.
Erik, you've been amazing. Would everyone agree?
Thank you. Please eat, drink, can. I'm available for more questions if you want to get into stuff. Thank you for listening.